She's not coming. She quit.
EJ, how committed are you to a resident assistant compared to an RA?
Oh, I thought you meant on campus. Yeah, I think that's fine.
No, I just don't want to say resident
Live
assistant.
from New York, it's Saturday night. Ah!
He's not answering me. Can I throw something at him? Oh my god, my whole floor is like littered with off-center posters and stickers. Oh my god, off-center's in the middle.
I know.
But the winning ticket sat in that seat last time.
Did they?
They did actually, yeah.
Did you vote yet?
I have not voted yet.
I have not either. I'm waiting.
I was like, I'm gonna wait to see how.
Yeah. I also didn't want to be biased because I'm doing this.
That's what I told you, Ben.
This is the second time two people sitting next to
Say more close.
Yeah, well,
You know what he said?
Yo, where's Maddie? You want to see Maddie pull her hair out? Where's Maddie?
Yeah, I played with you like once.
I'm gonna be like, Maddie, are you swiping people in?
You weren't there?
No, I was there.
There's Ryan.
Why would you play?
I'm just fucking.
I feel so underdressed out in suits because you should have bought a blazer or something.
All right. I believe all the candidates are here.
Oh, okay.
Time's out. Make sure he doesn't have any bet.
Wait, let me check.
Where's Jason? Jason! Jason! Can I get another pen?
Do you need a pen? I have a pen.
No, you have mine, so I'm gonna grab his.
I have
Never mind. We're good. She's got one.
I'm gonna sort you guys.
Yeah, please
Do
do.
you need a pen?
No, I got one from Jason.
I know, but like,
It's fine.
same.
She's gonna pull her hair out. Did you take attendance? So we have a.
No, I'm not taking it.
What's wrong?
Just don't mess up.
I told you to wrap it around.
You're the A, not the S. Or the A, not the M, whatever it is.
Okay, I believe all our candidates are here. There's Jason. 1, 2. Oh my god. My life in a picture. Yeah, I agree.
Caution tape aficionado. Hey.
Oh my god, I hate EJ right now.
You have to read that. I'm sorry. I just kept it how it was last year.
It was nowhere near this.
No, I mean like the order.
There's a couple of sentences. Foster community to help first-year students assimilate to college culture. I'm sorry.
I guess that's not, never mind. That's not the problem. It's just loose. So if you guys bump it, it will move, but it's probably fine.
Oh, okay.
So you'll be good. Should be fine. You can move it towards you. It doesn't matter.
Sounds good.
But otherwise, you probably don't need to touch it.
Don't sit down. Come around to the front. We're gonna have a nice little chat.
I'm gonna cut out this whole sentence.
Come to the front.
We can just go over there.
Can you go around? No. I don't think so. Not you, other Jason. Oh. You're not needed anymore. You're done. stars mean absolutely nothing.
Okay, I didn't even notice the six.
Yes. So what I meant to do was.
Yeah, we're gonna do it right now. Yeah, we're gonna do it right now.
Alright, let's get the show on the road. Oh, I just closed all my rings, guys. Amazing. I hit all 3 goals. Oh, yeah. I don't even know where mine is. Relax, don't psych me out.
What's your job?
I don't even know how. Nina, I don't even know how to keep time. Nina, I don't know what to do. Yeah, but like, I don't know how to know where we're gonna be at. I think it's really short. Yeah. Someone says this. Actually,
Do we have a break in between, or is it straight questions?
Straight questions. No break. They didn't do break last year. Oh.
Let's test.
Test, test, 1, 2, test.
how close do we need to be?
Usually just about like a fist
Okay,
length.
so we'll have to. Okay, gotcha.
Test, 1, 2. I don't know, is it
He
working?
said you could move it like towards you
Oh,
if
cool.
you need to.
Hello. 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 What? What is she doing? Oh, what? You can skip Senate meetings so you can come to this?
Wow, you're just.
She literally went where she was not supposed to.
Can I make my announcement now?
Yeah, I think you can.
Hi everyone! Hi guys! We're gonna start in a couple of minutes, but before we do, just a couple of announcements. If you have posters, just make sure you're not blocking any of the cameras, okay? Also, you should have all gotten index cards. If you have
Sure, sure. Go for it. Tell me when. Test, test, 1, 2, test, 1, 2, test, test, 1, 2, test, 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 1, 2, test, 1, 2, test, 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 1, 2, test, 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 1, 2. You can hear me? All right, it's working then. That's good. Echo.
Wait, can they hear us?
I don't know. Probably not.
Well, no, they have.
That's probably a question for them. That's when she made the announcement right on the air. She said, if you have a sign, please just do not hold up in front of the cameras. They said that. You told them. I think you're outside.
He said yes.
They can?
It should be connected to like.
Oh, you'll love to see it.
But he doesn't know if it's connected to who's talking. So like we don't
Oh,
know if
yeah,
you can hear
yeah,
it right
yeah.
now or not. But I could hear you when I was standing up.
All right, then I guess it works.
Is that our fun? Is it a good time for me to lose my voice?
I literally took medicine because
Can
I
I
was like,
go?
my voice.
All right, bye.
After you finish reading EJ's thing, you're just like, all right, sorry.
I'm like, okay, Samantha Mala, right? Mala?
Mala, yeah.
Mala. Like you
I think so.
pronounce the. I'm
I
gonna ask
believe
them when
so.
they come. Make sure Adrian
Castellanos.
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 Are they outside?
I don't know. Would you like ham or food? Look at my hero, Andrew.
Thank you.
Testing.
My hero.
Testing. Testing. 1, 2. Testing. Okay.
Test.
Testing. Testing. 1. Okay. 2, 3, 4. Testing. 5. Try to keep.
Count to 10. Just keep
Okay.
counting.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Brandon, 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 Brandon,
Simon,
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 Okay, you go.
Simon,
Brandon,
Simon,
Brandon,
Simon.
Nobody's counting to 10.
Oh,
It's your fault. How dare you?
Okay.
It's your.
Hello, check
Hello.
1 2, check 1 2.
Thank you.
Check 1 2, check
Hello.
1 2, check.
A little bit louder than that.
Check 1 2, check. Can we just Can you hear us? Yeah, we'll just keep talking. Vote EJ Hanna and Jason Buckman. 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 Vote. Hello.
You need to be a little
Check
bit closer
1
because
2.
we can't hear you on YouTube.
Check
Hello.
1 2. Check 1 2.
Hello.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
We're good.
Check 1 2. Okay.
Wait. Hello.
We just sit here.
I'm gonna sit right
I'll just sit here because I'm.
1, 2.
Hi, hello. Check. Test.
It's going to take like a minute before, so just keep speaking.
Keep
Oh,
speaking.
keep speaking.
Maria.
Okay, let me
Come
just
on,
start
just
reading
keep-
all of
yes,
these
please
because
do.
they're. Have you
We'll just
seen
start.
EJ's? I'm going to tell everybody.
Do you know EJ? He's
I
running
know
for
EJ.
president.
Yeah, we got him.
He ran a
Hold on,
really
you have to
long
look at
intro,
this.
and I love it.
Oh, wow.
Look at it,
I
and
know,
we cut
it's
some
almost
off
me.
accidentally.
Accidentally
So we
cut a
cut
couple
off the
of
rest of it
sentences.
because
Oh,
that's
I
how
know.
it works sometimes.
I
How
know.
we doing? Has it been a
It's all
minute
going
yet?
onto the live stream. I hope you
Great,
God.
wonderful.
Hi,
Hi
live
everyone
stream.
at home. How you doing? We didn't know that.
Yeah.
Is it just audio for the live stream or are the cameras on too?
No, like it's live. We're doing it.
Oh my god, we're live!
They definitely heard everything we said. Yay. Good to go? All right.
Same thing about that's okay.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started.
All right.
Start us off. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming out to the Student Government Association Presidential and Vice Presidential Debate. If you were able to be here, we hope you were enjoying the live stream courtesy of SITTV. Thank you, guys.
Tonight we'll be asking the three presidential candidates ticket questions that member of the student bodies have submitted. This is a forum meant to highlight the candidates' platforms, ideas, and experience in a professional and respectful way. The way we have set up the debate, each ticket will have 3 minutes for opening statements.
And then we will go to 60 minutes of questions that were submitted prior to the debate. Each answer will be limited to 2 minutes per ticket. Each ticket will have the option to respond to another ticket. That will be limited to 1 minute. After that, we will go into questions from the audience, and each ticket will have 1 minute to respond to audience questions.
But first, before we get to all of that, let's introduce all of the candidates. On our first ticket is Samantha Mala, running for president, and Adrian Castellanos, running for vice president of operations. Samantha Mala is currently a sophomore first-generation student studying mechanical engineering with a desire to pursue a concentration in aerospace. During her time at Stevens, she has been involved in a variety of activities, both in and outside of the SGA. She joined the SGA as a center in the fall of her freshman year and has since been a member of the Campus Life Committee and the Government and Community Relations Committee. As current chair of the Government and Community Relations Committee, Sam has held a voter registration drive that has gained 54 newly registered members for Hoboken, as well as worked with the Quality of Life Coalition in the city of Hoboken to host the City Council candidate forums. Outside of the SGA, Sam's a sister of Sigma Delta Tau and has served as their house manager to begin the process in expanding her sorority. She was also heavily involved in building the Stevens Solar Kart team last semester with its founding members, as well has been an active member and show host for WCPR.
Adrian Castellanos is a second-year civil engineering major pursuing pre-law and public policy minor. In his time at Stevens, Adrian has been involved with a wide range of organizations. Adrian became a senator in the SGA this past spring after doing work with the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, specifically working towards establishing the Intercultural Center. He is now serving as a senator of the SGA, where he is the chair of the Rules Committee and is now heading discussions on the SGA Constitution rewrite. He's also an advocate of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, which is always working to make Stevens a better place for everyone. Outside of the SGA, Adrian is secretary of the Torch Alliance, as well as a member of the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. He's also spent this past semester as a peer leader, getting to know more of the student body and getting to know the concerns of other students. If you guys would like to give your opening statement, you have 3 minutes.
Hi everyone, my name is Sam Ola and this is Adrian Castellanos. The main focus of our campaign is to lift student voices through empowerment and create a home for all. Every student on this campus adds value to our degree and to our college experience. Through the events we attend, the organizations we are a part of, and the classes we take to pursue a valuable degree, each and every one of us becomes a member of the SGA. We believe that by enforcing that everyone is already an asset to the SGA, that we can become a greater resource for students to pursue their goals and passions and create positive change.
As you've already heard, we are both very involved people on campus, and we have dedicated a lot of our time to making the Stevens experience a better one. We know that we are a set of candidates that are willing to have tough conversations with both students and staff, as well as are able to deliver on the issues at hand in one way or another. As students and as leaders, we constantly strive to build trust within the diverse range of communities on campus that we are involved in, as well as the ones we represent. Sam and I want to continue to build our relationships with students and administration so that there are no boundaries to our endeavors. By building communications on all fronts, we'll be able to work as a team and unite through our differences to make Stevens into a more inclusive, diverse, and functional school for all of us.
These set endeavors cover differing aspects of students' experiences on campus. We know that by coming to Stevens, we are getting a degree that will provide us with great jobs once we graduate, but we want to make sure that our degree reflects our academic experience in a positive light. Some initiatives we like to pursue include expanding language classes so that we're able to take them as humanities and potentially offer them as minors. By adding the option of pass-fail for electives, students will be more inclined to take courses they enjoy rather than ones that will get them an easy A. Additionally, we understand everyone's frustrations with the academic catalog and would like to create a streamlined platform that makes scheduling effective and efficient so that we're always able to get the classes we want and deserve for our degree.
Another huge area of focus for us is the health and wellness of our fellow students. For many of us, we consider Stevens and Hoboken a home for a majority of the year, and we should be able to have access to the same resources here that we have back at home. One initiative we want to tackle is ensuring that Stevens enforces the student handbook to make sure Stevens is a true smoke-free campus. One more big point for us is taking environmental sustainability more serious on this campus. We know that small things like removing single-use plastics and adding greenware to campus can go a long way, and we want to see that change happen sooner rather than later.
By broadening our perspectives and building the impact of them on this campus, we can strengthen the role of the SGA, which will only bring optimism to those around us and encourage students to voice their opinions and be the change that everyone consistently hesitates to be. With a stronger SGA, we can empower students, and with that, create a university that makes Stevens a space where everyone feels at home and heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Our second ticket is Brandon Simon running for president and Simon Peppa running for vice president of operations. Brandon Simon is a junior computer scientist who serves as a social media chair for the Off-Center Comedy Club and has been a member since his freshman year. He has previously taken position as secretary of the archery team and is a TA for Intro to Programming. He also writes weekly crosswords for The Astute and was a member of the Launchpad program in 2018.
Simon Peppa is a junior mechanical engineer with a concentration in robotics and automation who serves as the secretary for Off-Center Comedy Club and has been a member since his freshman year. He is a tutor in the Tutoring Center and is the editor-in-chief for Off the Press. He has also served as secretary for the Stand-Up Society and has been a member since freshman year.
Both candidates were performers in the show I Hate Shakespeare for Stevens Dramatic Society and are both the co-hosts for Off the Air, Off Center's comedy podcast. Your opening statement.
Hello, we are Brandon Simon and Simon Peppo. Unfortunately, there will be less jokes, tomfoolery, and general shenanigans in our debate performance than promised, as we are being on our best behavior at this debate. We've seen the errors of our ways, and the SGA has shown us a new, more serious light. In a serious note, though, we have spent a good amount of time considering our platform and our policies, and we've boiled it down to one main platform of creating a far more pro-student school and a student government association.
We will go over most of our plans when we're asked questions during the debate, but we hope that you know we are focused on getting you the information you deserve faster and having a far more open relationship amongst the students, faculty, and the SGA. We are also planning to make the school like 10 times more fun. And how do you do that? You'll wait for the debate.
Okay, thank you. On our third ticket is EJ Hanna running for president and Jason Buckman running for vice president of operations. EJ Hanna is a student passionate towards improving the Stevens community however students see fit. Throughout his time, he has continuously strived to bring forth changes for those who, for one reason or another, go with their voices unheard. He's a second-year computer engineering major with a minor in philosophy. He currently serves as an on-campus RA, fostering a community to help first-year students assimilate to college culture. He also serves as a secretary for the Middle Eastern Student Association and the treasurer for the Stevens climbing team. EJ in this past summer served as learning as a teaching aide for refugee students in high school, helping them transition to their new lifestyle. He works as a peer tutor in the Academic Support Center and is also a news writer for The Stute. He's taking part in the Stevens 150 for 150 service initiative, working on the training and workshop committees to deliver 150 presentations on STEM to local youth. This is EJ's third semester as a center inside of the SGA, and his second serving as chair of the Campus Life Committee. He is also a member of the Rules Committee. His team in the Senate began with the Stevens Women's Fitness Initiative, which established women-only hours at the gym as a way to ensure comfort and leading a healthy lifestyle. From there, he saw through the implementation of benches for the Babio patio and organized the Week of Kindness initiative, which both encourage students to appreciate what our community and campus have to offer. He is currently overseeing a project with Lena Tudor to have students display their talents and brighten up campus through murals on the beams and stairs near the Schaefer Field. He has also started digging up the grounds in a community relaxation garden, which will provide students with more locations to socialize and also provide mental relief.
Jason Buckman is a second-year biology student focused on improving the Stevens experience. His driving force is to represent the needs of the students, and he plans to work hard on the issues that matter to them. Jason is currently the president of Hillel, which has quadrupled in size under his leadership, and also serves as the historian of Stevens Health Professions Club. Jason works as an EMT for the Hoboken Volunteer Ambulance Corps and is a peer tutor in the Academic Support Center. He's also a new member of Alpha Phi Omega. This is Jason's third semester in the Student Government Association. He has pursued numerous initiatives under the Academic and Curriculum Advancement Committee, as well as the Health and Wellness Committee. He's also the sophomore representative of the Oversight Committee and the founder and current chair of the Ad Hoc Housing Committee. There, he has published many resources on the Stevens website geared towards student living off campus and has worked with the Office of Residential and Dining Services to update incorrect and misleading information on the website. He's currently working on allowing SLH residents to receive mail at their apartments and taking better dorm photos. He's also working on bringing mental health first aid to campus and implementing it as a PE credit to decrease stigma and increase awareness. He has also worked on restructuring Bio 281 to have significantly smaller lectures and utilize undergraduate TAs. Your opening statement, please.
Hello, Stevens community. I believe Maria forgot to mention Read the Stute, but that leaves me as EJ Hanna. My name and my pronouns are he, him, his.
And my name is Jason. My pronouns are also he, him, his.
Before we begin, we want to take the time to thank you all for coming out here. Whether you're watching online or you're attending in person, we like your demonstration and passion to see this university improve.
You know, change begins with you, your voices. We commend you all for coming out to make an educated vote.
We sit here before you because we want to be the ones to make the passionate changes you want to see. We want to advocate for your ideas. Over the past 2 weeks, we've gone around asking hundreds of students what we can do to improve their time at Stevens. We've taken your perspectives, we've heard your voices, we've heard your ideas, and we've formulated them into a platform that encompasses all of your recurring concerns.
Our focus is on improving sustainability efforts, advocating for student health, and developing campus culture. These pillars represent your voices and concerns, whether it's fear of getting hit by a car when walking around campus, or stress from having to leave campus to find a doctor when you're sick to be excused from class. Each aspect of our platform has already been discussed and ironed out with administration to ensure feasibility. We don't make false promises.
One thing you may have noticed from our arguably extensive bios is we've had a lot of previously completed initiatives that directly relate to the changes we want to make for you once we're in office. From the moment we've entered Stevens, we've been striving to improve our community. 3 semesters in student government later, for both of us, we sit before you with the most relevant experience. Our laundry list of accomplishments is a testament to how passionate we are for this organization and our community.
The initiatives we pursued also demonstrate our record of accountability. We have historically seen out our goals for the student body. We have also made active efforts to assist other students and senators in achieving theirs, a responsibility we took up on our own accord without question.
From this debate, we want you to observe and take away the ideals that we represent. Our extensive compassion, demonstrated self-sacrifices, and love for the community that we compose of.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to questions submitted by members of the student body. Each ticket will have 2 minutes to answer the question, and after each ticket has had the chance to answer, they will be given the opportunity to respond. Each ticket has the opportunity for 1 minute of response. Some of the questions are directed at either the presidential candidate or the vice presidential candidate, while others apply to both. We will distinguish who should answer the question before we state it.
So our first question of the night is for both. We heard a little bit about your records, but now we're going to give you the chance to expand a little more. What past experiences with the SGA or in leadership positions in general prepare you to represent the interests of the student body as president and vice president of operations? We're going to start in the middle with you guys.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have served on the e-board of multiple clubs. I was the secretary for the archery club. I have been social media chair for Off Center the past year. And I have had to deal with, obviously, a lot of people. Like, we run shows, which is a lot of moving parts, essentially. Like, we deal with everything that's going on involved, and I think it's just going to be very similar, because essentially just the moving parts that are the different, like, boards of the SGA. Do you want to add to that, or?
Yeah, so we are in the same e-board, so a lot of our experiences are in our lab, so we already know how to work well with each other in an environment like that.
And we've lived together for like a year as well.
Yeah, we're very close team, so we're going to be able to communicate very efficiently in this dynamic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's fair to say that we have a lot of variety in our relevant experience. We both serve on a variety of positions for different organizations. Jason's a president, a historian, and a chair. I'm a secretary, a treasurer, and a chair as well. On that, we've done far more than we're supposed to, or outlined in the guidelines of those positions, because everything we sign up for, we're passionate about, and we want to improve those organizations for our students.
As vice president of operations, my main goal is to foster a community within the student government that allows senators and everyone communicating with the senators and coming to meetings to feel part of the community. Part of that is not only being a leader in front of the room, trying to, put a face on the organization, but another part of it is being the person who's approachable and available for people to come to them with initiatives and to come for help and to be kind of the guiding force behind things.
It's also provided us with a lot of relevant experience when it comes to dealing with administration and working with them on initiatives, whether it's just going up to Office of Student Life to hang with them because we're that close. Like, we've made the connections and we're ready to use them for you.
Thank you.
I'd say that with the variety of our involvements, our most notable are definitely within the SGA and as peer leaders. In the SGA, we have served as head of committees, and we know how we work internally as well as with the administration and students. I'd say that this experience prepares us because we already know what it's like to work within the SGA. In terms of our other involvements as a peer leader, you need to know how to be a leader and a follower. You're in charge of a group of students that are preparing for their transition to college, and that's something that they remember for the whole time here, and it's definitely about building that experience for them. And I think that from being in that position, we were able to learn how to better communicate with students and understands their concerns and needs.
I also think it's worth adding that as a peer leader, we got to meet a lot of people in administration that you wouldn't normally meet. And as a peer leader, we also got to meet a lot of people outside of the SGA that we wouldn't normally meet. We met with a lot of people in Greek life that in the SGA maybe we wouldn't have met. And making these connections allows us to better understand the Stevens community as a whole.
Great. Thank you. From now on, just as a thing going forward, if you guys want to, if there's any rebuttals or anything like that, reminder you have a minute. Just call out after it's clear that they're done speaking, and we'll acknowledge it.
Okay, the next question is for both the president and the vice president. We're going to start with EJ and Jason. What do you feel is the most important issues facing students, and how would you realistically try to solve it during your term?
We think the most important issue surrounding our community right now is mental health. It's been a significant issue in recent years, just given the nature of our university and like the extreme productivity of society as a whole. Our university has extremely high credit requirements and forces us, well, not forces us, but we indirectly have to take significant credit loads that put us under a lot of stress, and to balance that with a lot of our other commitments makes it very challenging. We want to increase programming and make programming more relevant to that field so that it's not just like, okay, we're having this mental health event, but only people who are already like interested or want to advocate for it go. We want to get the people who are like introverted and inside their rooms. We want to have them speak up, learn about the initiatives. We also want to have this expanded to faculty and staff, because it isn't very fair to have a classroom where something like mental health isn't supported and expect students to say that they are in support of it.
Another big issue is the construction. I'll say it. We see it every day. We walk around campus, we're fenced in, university on the rise. One big thing that we want to do is improve campus culture, whether it's painting murals under the bleachers on the columns, so when students are walking to class, they have something nice to look at, or improving lawn furniture, making places for students to hang out around campus. Just making it nicer and making it so people feel at home and part of the Stevens community. And that ties back in with the mental health aspect. If you're happy, if you see nice things when you're walking around campus, that in turn makes you feel better and makes you feel better about coming to campus, going to class, learning.
Thank you.
I'd say the biggest issues that we have now revolve around health and wellness and academics, and they kind of go hand in hand. They very much so intersect in terms of how one affects the other. Currently, we want to be able to build the academic program here at Stevens so that you feel confident in knowing that you are in a great physical, mental, and emotional state to be able to pursue your degree and know that there's value to it. And it's not just spending like endless, like long nights trying to finish homework and prepare for tests, but it's something that you are prepared for outside of college and will be able to take with you for like the rest of your career.
And to add to that, other things that we often overlook that come to mental health, things like housing that people struggle with at Stevens, these things, like the little things, they add up. Housing, the lack of dining options, things like that, in the long run, they do add up, and those are things that we want to work to change.
Okay, I'd say just, hello? I'd say just about everything is our problem at Stevens currently. Our registering was crazy. I just registered yesterday, none of it worked. Canvas is currently down, construction all over campus. I've heard of people like almost getting hit by, what do they call it, the shuttles, and having shuttle problems in the last couple days. I'd pretty much say if you could name a single part of a school, we will probably have a problem with it.
And also a lot of it is, part is the SGA, because there's almost, I would say, I'll guarantee that the majority of people in this room has not talked to their senator or almost anyone in the SGA whatsoever. So that's a big issue that we have to think, because the SGA, they gotta do stuff. And as running the SGA, we're gonna do stuff. So we gotta really spearhead that kind of program.
Yeah, but I think we have a great connection with the students. We're
the
normal
people's
people.
choice, yeah.
We're not a part of the SGA.
Thank you.
Not your classic people running, but we're gonna do stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Hell yeah.
Great, thank you. Next question again is for both candidates. Do you feel that the Stevens administration is transparent? Why or why not? And how do you plan on effectively communicating with the administration here at Stevens?
I'd say that the administration is not as transparent as they could be. An example of that is the mental health task force. They should have been giving us an update on what they were doing in early October, I believe, and that still hasn't come out yet. And I don't think it's because they're not doing anything. I just think that they want to be able to present the students with something that they know is like they're 100% confident in terms of building that relationship with them so that they are transparent with the student body. I think it's just having that conversation with them and knowing that, and have them know that we value student input in every operation and project that is on this campus.
And the other side to that is, I would say 9 times out of 10, administrators are willing to sit down and have a conversation with you, but students don't feel like they can reach out to administrators, and that is where the SGA should be stepping in. If you don't feel like you are comfortable reaching out to Sarah Klein, reach out to your senator, and your senator can reach out to Sarah Klein on your behalf. And that's something that we really want to bring to the SGA.
Currently, the administrators, it depends what section you're looking for, really. If you're looking for teachers, 9 out of 10 times, administrators do well. Like, it's easy to talk to them. You know their office hours. It's great. When it comes to things like recently, Simon wrote an article in The Stute about the peer leaders not getting paid, which I had just found out about the day before, and the fact that no administrators were talking about this, and we just found out off the cuff is insane to me. And I'm sure there's tons of more examples that either just haven't surfaced or have been forgot about, and I think that needs to especially stop.
Yeah, and a lot of the administration is there's not a lot of communication between the students and the administration. They will just do stuff and then tell the students later that they did things.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again with the peer leader thing, I had to bring it up to the attention, and it got solved quickly, but it had to be brought up years after it happened. Many of the people in that problem had graduated.
Yes.
I don't know why they were still talking about it, but they had graduated. They were still telling it. So that was a big thing.
Because it's important, man.
It is. It's very important.
They want their money.
Yeah, honestly,
and
money.
we got them, or we'll
Yeah,
possibly.
I specifically did that. That was my job entirely, and I'm responsible for that.
We're trying.
Yeah.
We're trying.
So yeah, I'm responsible. You're welcome.
So the biggest example right now about the lack of communication between administration and students, I'd say right now is IT. Our Wi-Fi has been Skyline for the past 90 days. 90 days ago, they said in 3 days we'll have permanent Wi-Fi. Even just communicating to students, saying, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how we're working to get campus back online. This is why it's taken so long. That would go a long ways to helping, maintain communication between administration and students. We pay to go here. We deserve to know what's going on,
That said, I think we agree that we're about halfway when it comes to transparency. A lot of things that are going on inside of the SGA right now, for example, the line items review being spearheaded by me, Elena Malova, and Mark Rapinski, is pushing for transparency on where our money is going, whether it's with club sports, diversity education, we're finding out where that money is going, where it's being spent, and making sure it's being put to effective use. At the same time, administration is also introducing things like senator lunches, where they're reaching out to senators, talking to them. We can have time to talk with them, which is great. And we want to expand that so it's not just that they're communicating with student leaders, but also the students as a whole.
A big problem is that, administration is working to reach out to the Senate. However, the Senate also needs to reach out to students. Over the past couple weeks, we've gone door to door, talking to everyone we can find, trying to maintain that communication between the student body and the SGA. And that's something that needs to be maintained. Senators need to be out and about in the student body. They need to communicate, because in the end, everything we're doing is based on things that matter to everyone, not just us.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Next question goes for the president. Brandon, we're going to start with you. How would you keep up morale and motivate the Senate during your term?
I'm a comedian, so pretty easily, I think. Yeah, no. I mean, I get along super well with people. I love talking to just about anyone. I think keeping up morale is literally what I do here on campus. So I don't think it'll be that hard, and I would love to get to meet everybody who's part of the SGA and get to know what everyone does. I can't wait.
Okay, thank you. EJ?
We would say that sorry. There's, well, on top of like having a good personality to reach out to all the senators, right now there's a distinct lack of communication between the cabinet and the senators, and it leads to a lot of disconnect in the pursuing of initiatives. The role of like the president, and more specifically the vice president, is to be reaching out to senators and to reach out to committee heads to ensure that they're getting the help that they need and their initiatives are being fostered appropriately. We think, and I think that is something specifically that I would be very effective at. It's something I've done historically, whether it's working with Alina on the Artwork Initiative, working with Maddie on the Aussie proposal for reusable utensils in A Cup and other places on campus. Yeah.
Sam?
I definitely say that in order to keep up morale, you just have to make sure that there's open communication, as was previously said. But in addition to that, you just need to make sure that every senator and person on the cabinet is pursuing initiatives that they're very passionate about. And I believe that through that, people will understand the value in what they're doing. In addition to that, as a peer leader, you have to be like as excited as possible all day for a whole week. And even before that, it's a whole week of training, and you're doing probably 50 plus hours of work just so you can prepare these students and know the resources available on campus to them. I'd say as a leader of over 22 students, I was able to get almost all of them to come to every event, whether they liked it or not, and it's because not because I forced them to, but because they realized that it was part of their college experience, and I think that within the SGA, it's kind of just that same mentality of being able to have hope and have spirit no matter what it is.
All right. Great. Thank you for that. Next question is going to be for the vice presidential candidates. Jason, we're going to start with you. How do you plan on effectively managing the cabinet and the committees that you will oversee?
A big thing about management is still people have their own responsibilities, they have their own duties. My main goal is to support everyone in what they're doing and make sure that there is an open line of communication, to make sure that things are getting completed, things are getting seen out, that there's an extra pair of hands to help out whenever someone needs to have a meeting with administration, whether you want to meet about creating a new student page on the website, or just with anything, and making sure that everyone's talking to each other, that people are sharing their ideas in meetings, that people are discussing what needs to be discussed and not going around in circles. All of these things can help maintain an effective student government. Another big thing is making it so people feel rewarded for what they're doing. Right now, being a senator is a pretty thankless job. You complete an initiative, and then you start on another one. What needs to be done is some recognition within the Senate to make sure that, hey, you did this, you accomplished this, but we also accomplished it. Keep going, good job. Like, we don't have that right now, and that needs to be changed.
Thank you. Adrian?
So as the Vice President of Operations, first thing is working with committees. And I think the most important thing to do with the committees is to make sure that you're talking to everyone and making sure that there is a clear and open line of communication between not just the heads, but every member of the committee, making sure everyone's having a good time on that committee and is able to pursue initiatives that they feel passionate about. Because if you're not passionate about something, you won't do it at 100%. If you're not doing something at 100%, what's the point in doing it? And when it comes to picking the right cabinet, I think Sam and I are of the idea that although we haven't had discussions with anyone yet, we know that what we are looking for in a cabinet is people who are just as motivated, if not more motivated than us, in what they want to pursue. So for our VPAA, we want someone who is going to put 120% into making sure that the academics of Stevens are at their best. And I would like to disagree with Jason on the fact that being a senator is a thankless job. I think that the friendships that I've made being a senator and the fun that we have in those Senate meetings, they make it pretty worth it.
Thank you.
All right, so as vice president, I would be in charge of the cabinet and getting all the committees working on time. So obviously a large part of that is getting them to work, getting everyone together so we can all come together to make this big old place that we call Stevens. Now, I'm going to work very close with them. If you'll pardon my language, I'm going to work with them to kind of bring them all together and really get something done. Because as the vice president, I would have to, not yet, As a vice president.
Sus.
Yeah, I'd have to get that all together. And so, you know, I have a fairly natural charisma that would allow me to bring everyone together, bring everyone to the same goal. That would, and you know what? Sorry, I'm emotional. As you can, yeah. So you know, obviously, I bring all that together. I'd help Brandon obviously with helping run the SGA, and also I'd like to disagree with both of the other vice presidents. I feel like being a senator is it's pretty good.
From experience that you say it's being pretty good?
No. Pull my mic up. No, and also that was a cheap blow.
Okay, thank you for all of that. Next question is going to be for both members of the ticket. Sam and Adrian, what does sustainability mean to your ticket, and what are some initiatives you plan to pursue to make Stevens a more sustainable campus?
So sustainability has several pillars, and those pillars include social sustainability, environmental sustainability, and things like that. And right now with the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, we wouldn't be focusing as hard on the social sustainability because we know that D&I is there right now to do that, and we wouldn't want to take anything off them because they're doing an amazing job. But things that we want to focus on environmental sustainability are things such as greenware and the elimination of single-use plastics, green spaces on campus, pushing for better building standards when we build new buildings on campus, like LEED certifications, enforcing two-stream recycling that Hoboken has just implemented, enforcing it on campus, reusable mugs and thermoses that provide a discount for on-campus locations, and it's time for Stevens to get the campus climate survey updated. If you don't know what that is, it's a survey that happens every 3 years, and Stevens is about 1.5 years overdue for one, and we need to make it happen.
In addition to that, if we're going to call ourselves an innovative university, then we have to be building and striving to gain that repertoire. I definitely say that with all of these initiatives and probably even more, Adrian and I would like to see a sustainability committee that focuses on the environmental aspect here at Stevens, because as it might be something that the Campus Life Committee can do, it's something that at this point should have a separate head and should be more of a focus within the SGA and in the student body and administration.
Okay, thank you.
Well, first of all, I think we're at least on a good track. It takes small things to build up to a point where we can get to fully sustainable or anything of the idea. Things just the small things like adding paper straws to all the food places. Stuff like that eventually will add up, and I think with work we can do something about it. I also think that sustainability just in general of student life is not great. The amount of students we have is causing major problems in all places, and I think that's another sustainability that we should focus on ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Also, I feel we should, there is now definitely the time for also large scale products, because obviously our end goal is to get Stevens, 100% self-sufficient. So that would require, I'd say a large project of putting, honestly, solar panels everywhere, because right now we're wasting literal millions of units of power.
We do have the solar farm, but we can put them on top of every building.
Yeah, we're wasting so much free space. Every roof, every free structure can have solar panels. And we're wasting so much of our opportunity right now. We could sell energy to Hoboken. And that's honestly a really big loss. I don't know why the school isn't doing that already. But also, yeah. Yeah. What do you want more?
Well, we're on the topic of low blows, reusable water bottles. So, sustainability starts with a change in everyone else's culture and making it more available and more accessible through the things that people do in their everyday life and routine. A big part of our platform is sustainability and making sure that it's implemented in ways that every student uses it effectively, right? So after your first year, most likely you're living off campus and you're commuting. We're trying to make transportation more accessible because Stevens is planning on removing the shuttle service as it stands, just for expenses and efficiencies. We want to make other transportation methods more accessible, whether it's bringing in a bike share company to offer students discounted bike rentals or just buying bikes outright for cheaper. or discounting Lime scooters and subsidizing the Path and NJ Transit, which, by the way, is all things we've already discussed with the Transport Department, and they're on board. On top of that, we also want to see the full-fledged implementation of composting inside of Pierce Dining Hall, because as it stands, there's basically two things, the wax line cups and plastic spoons by the ice cream that aren't, and that's just being shipped out to the nearest dump, which happens to be in North Carolina because they're all full as it stands, and instead using the compost pit that Hoboken has, which goes unfilled pretty much every week. So
The only thing I have to add on to that, if you've ever been to Pierce, if you've ever been to Pierce at midnight, maybe next time you go, take a look at the pizza making, the pizza station. Maybe you'll see them dump all of their pizzas into a black trash bag and throw it out. Those could easily, along with all the other food waste generated, and hopefully now the reusable, not reusable, but compostable plastic cups and silverware, that will allow them to compost as well as generate waste and eliminate a lot of the waste, and it would be so much better for the environment.
Since we're going to keep talking about low blows, how much paper have you wasted on those heads? How much paper have you wasted on the stickers? If you want to find our platform, you can go to tinyurl/salmoncat. And also, talking about culture within Stevens, I personally have had a meeting with the Stevens Sustainability Coalition to find out what we can do here on campus right now.
All right. I'll wait. Next question is going to be for both candidates again. Do you think that the SGA should push for more of a role in external affairs, for example, local and state government?
Being completely honest, no. I think the main focus of the student government should just be the school. I think that's what we're here for, and I think that's what we should be focusing on. You want to add?
Yeah, and, like, to be honest, we would be doing this with the best of intentions, but I'd say the majority of the people outside, like the Hoboken City Department, would not respect us that much.
Yeah.
They just be, oh, there's these, because obviously the most of us we're not from Hoboken, and we're living in Stevens, we're not living in Hoboken, and so we don't. I wouldn't really take our opinions into much account, and it'd kind of be spreading our resources too far.
That being said, everyone, hopefully you all voted. That's very important. That's ways we can get involved.
And if you win, we will also be voting for, we will be running for mayor of Hoboken.
Next year, yes.
Yeah.
So currently, as it stands, the Student Government Administration has a Government and Community Relations Committee. The SGA is supposed to serve as the voice of the student body and to make sure that student interests are represented, whether it's in student life, campus culture, with the administration, or even with the government. What is happening right now is the Government and Community Relations Committee, I'm sure Sam can speak more about this, but they are currently pushing people to vote, which is a very good thing. Everyone should get involved in elections and make their voices heard. I think also what could happen is they could advocate for issues pertaining to the student body, whether it's limes in the city or other things that might affect student life here on campus. I do not think that Stevens should be a political entity. I do not think we should get super involved in Hoboken politics. But as a voice for the student body, it is our duty to make sure that every view is represented and that we are doing what's best for the students.
It's also just another way for students who have different passions to get involved. As it stands, I went to several planning board meetings when they were developing the university towers last year, and they love to hear student input, and something like that is a great outlet for students to express their concerns however they see, if that's their best interests.
Disagree with both candidates in the sense that Stevens shouldn't have an active role in the city of Hoboken on a local government level. Matthew Cunningham before me was doing a lot in terms of working with the local and state government. He was lobbying for bills, getting students to be able to be active and work with the people on a state level so that we're able to get the education and academic experience that we deserve. In addition to that, I'd say that as the current head of the Government and Community Relations Committee, I've spoken to many city council members, and currently, as Stevens is in the 6th Ward, I've spoken to Jen Giattino, and by working with the city of Hoboken, we're able to build our relations and know that things that like construction are able to happen, and we can gain better experiences and know that different projects on campus, whether it be with housing or just as I mentioned before, the construction will actually get done and we won't have any problems with them.
Hello. One thing I'd like to add to that is by standing by and not saying anything to the city of Hoboken, when things like Stevens getting that that $4 million fee that we got, it's not Favarden that's going to pay that. It's going to come out of our tuitions. We're going to have to cough up that money. So if we don't inform the city of Hoboken that this is the way we feel and we live here and we have a stake in this community, then we're going to be the ones that are paying the price.
And for those of you that don't know what the $4 million lawsuit was for, it was for parking down on Sinatra Drive because of the construction of the university towers, in which Stevens tried to make a compromise with the city of Hoboken, and by building our relationship with the local government, we'll be able to ensure that things like this don't happen in the future.
Yeah, after the $4 million thing, I'm on their side now, actually.
Yeah.
So I just want to make that public. Thank you.
The next question is for the presidential candidate. We're going to start with EJ. How would you define your leadership style?
I think I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. My leadership style is without a doubt lead by example. I put in the time and work into everything I do, no matter what I'm doing, and it tends to be a lot of things at once, but I give my 100%. I demonstrate that you can do this too, and I work with people, even if it's adding more onto my plate. It's because it's something I'm passionate about and something I want to see. It's lead by example and help others wherever possible, going out of my way to do so. And I think my time in the Senate, all the initiatives I've pursued are a testament to that.
Sam, whenever you're ready.
I definitely say my leadership style reflects being able to step in and step back. A president shouldn't always be the one working on all the initiatives and being the only person talking to administration and students. It's something that you have to delegate to everybody within the SGA and being able to have that open communication between everybody. In addition to that, I'd say I'm very adaptable and I'm always very empathetic, and I think that by understanding everyone's perspectives, whether they reflect my own or not, it's able to reflect my work and know that I'll be a better leader because of it, but I'll also be able to follow all of my peers.
So I think my leadership style would be just lead by fun. I think a lot of times here we're taking things far too seriously. Class is stressing you out, stuff like that. And the SGA's got to have fun too, guys. Come on. So I think, in all honesty, I would just want to, obviously, you got to know when to stop having fun and, be serious. But at the same time, we shouldn't take things seriously all the time, and that's how I want to lead, and that's how I want to be.
All right. The next question is for the vice presidential candidates. What are your thoughts on the current restructuring efforts of the SGA? Adrian, we'll start with you.
So, chairing most of the recent discussions about the restructuring of the SGA, there is a lot of back and forth within the Senate about what we should do and how we should approach it. And personally, I feel like if the Senate cannot come to at least majority consensus as to what we want and how we will be most effective, I don't know if this is the best time to do it in such a transition period for the SGA. And I also feel that right now the SGA hasn't done anything for the students in recent time, big enough for the students to prove that we deserve you to come out and vote on a referendum or whatever we're going to call it to change the Constitution. We need a majority of 2/3, I believe, to change the Constitution. And I personally don't think that we can get that from the students because we haven't been active enough in the students' lives as of recent. So I think that although the restructure could be great for the future SGA, I don't think now is the time. And I think that we need to prove to the students that we as an SGA are effective before we can take this next step.
All right, so when I first heard that the SGA was going to be, restructured, I was like, great, more construction on campus. And I feel like in terms of doing this thing and changing the Constitution, we should follow the steps of our forefathers, create a constitutional convention, get delegates from all different classes, and we should really bring everyone to have a say in this new Constitution, because I don't know when the last one was made. It probably was made a while ago, and this is our chance right now to make a new one, or to at least change it to fit more better the changing times, and to make for it to work better for the school. I'm having trouble speaking. Thank you. You go. Yeah, so I feel like we have to get everyone's opinion. We have to get the entire Senate, all of Congress together to make an opinion. And honestly, I think we should make it more of a popular vote. Don't make it. I mean, obviously, like the senators would have a say, but I feel like getting more of like a survey or a referendum to the entire student body would be really good, because it would affect everyone essentially, but only the people on the Senate who would vote. And again, no one knows who the senator is, so they don't really get a choice.
If you want a constitutional convention, come to my Rules Committee meetings 5 to 6 on Fridays.
I'm gonna go there.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
we'll
great.
be there.
I'm gonna wear my wig.
Jason, please.
All right, so right now there's a lot going on in the student government. From last semester, we've dwindled in size from around 40 to 15. There's a lot going on. There's a lot wrong. And right now, I think that this constitutional rewrite is being treated as the one-hit fix. People are treating it like this is going to fix the problems. This is our problem. We need to do this. It's done. I don't think it's going to accomplish much. It may help with the structure. It may help with communication between the cabinet and the Senate. It may help with communication between everyone, administration, cabinet, Senate, student body. However, it is not the solution. The solution is someone who can implement and maintain that communication and make sure that everyone is talking to each other. In the past, there hasn't been much of a problem. Why is it this year? We need to take a look at that and think, why constitutional rewrite? We can make changes that aren't as drastic, aren't as severe, and we can work our way back up to our best capabilities and doing the work we do best, pursuing initiatives, helping out other senators, talking to students, talking to administration, working with everyone together.
I just think it's worth noting for everyone here that the Senate is actually back up to 30 members, and we have one more round of vacancies that's currently going on, so we'll be back above that.
I have a response to that. So right now, 15 new senators have just joined. It is the freshman class. So last year we had a wave of people resigning, and currently I think we have one senior senator. That's not what we're trying to do. Two?
All right, the next question is going to go to both members of the ticket. What are your plans to address the current student mental health situation?
Okay, so this one is a bit more serious, so I will not be joking around here at all.
We have not been this entire time, though.
We have not been this entire time, you're right. So I have heard horror stories of the whole system that we have going on here with mental health. Personally, I have not been a part of them, but I just feel terrible for those who have, and hearing the horror stories is just the worst thing in the world. And I know there's nothing I can do about it, and I hate that. And I think a big part of becoming president is being able to voice my opinion and being able to talk to the people in charge who have to deal with this. And I think this is a very, very important topic that, in all honesty, if I do win, I will struggle hard for this one especially.
Yeah, this is a very big issue, especially on campuses, and school in general has a fairly large mental health problem. With a demanding curriculum like Stevens is even more compounded. And I feel like the mental health services should reflect that increased mental burden on the students, when in reality it really doesn't. It barely functions as a normal mental health issue, regardless of the added mental pressures on the students. So that would be a huge thing to kind of revamp and get that kind of situation up to par.
All right, so we have a lot of ideas about mental health on campus because, frankly, mental health is a problem here. It's a problem that needs to be addressed, needs to be put out into the open, needs to be discussed because students should feel like they're home. They should feel comfortable in this space, and they should feel comfortable to reach out to those who can help them and to feel like they're supported on campus. The first way that we want to help implement this is to continue the initiative of implementing faculty training modules, making sure that faculty, your professors, know how to recognize when a student's having a mental health crisis, know how to recognize, hey, maybe they need a helping hand, maybe they need a little bit of extra help, making it so students don't feel so alone sometimes. Another thing we want to do is to improve campus as a whole. I know we touched on this already, but making it nicer to exist in this space, not staring out at construction, seeing mounds of dirt and construction trucks rolling through, making it so there's a community garden that we're working to implement where people can relax with plants and, you know, have alone time there and be surrounded by nature, or whether it's painting the bleachers, painting the columns under the bleachers, making it so it's nice, fun to walk through that. Another really serious initiative that we've also discussed is bringing in mental health first aid to campus, making it count as a PE credit and encouraging students to take it. I personally took this 8-hour-long course to help provide students with care if they're having a mental health crisis. And I believe that if more students took this, we would have a greater understanding of mental health and have that awareness and that stigma reduced on campus and make people more willing to seek out help and to talk to their friends and to help others as well.
With regards to mental health, as I mentioned before, Stevens created a mental health task force in the last year, and I think that first hearing from them is definitely a step forward in terms of knowing what the administration wants to do for us after seeing everything that they know that we go through. In addition to that, I would definitely not want to overstep because I know that they're definitely working towards striving for a better atmosphere and a stigma-free campus. CAPS has definitely improved their resources within the last year, and they've been doing a lot, and they have been getting better, and they do take constructive criticism, and I think that they've been taking that and actually making it so that students feel more comfortable going there and feel more comfortable utilizing their resources on campus.
Some other small things worth mentioning that we want to work on is we want to bring the modules to campus. We think that they are essential at this point. They've been put off for over a year now, and they need to happen. We want to bring more green spaces to campus, and when there is future construction and construction now, we want to make sure that as much green space is preserved on campus as possible. And I know that Gabby Guider, the wellness educator, is now teaching a class on wellness Wednesdays. It counts for a PE. You should check it out if you haven't made your schedule yet. And just supporting CAPS is going to be a major, major initiative that we take on because CAPS is trying their best, and I think that with us by their side, we could do a lot better. And I just want to give a shout out to Vic, the head of the Health and Wellness Committee, who's been doing a crazy job at making sure that Stevens is a much better place.
So unexpected.
Okay, great. Another question for both candidates. How do you feel that the SGA should interact with the student body and the student organizations that it oversees? Start with you guys.
A lot of people associate the SGA with a negative perception when it's their first time interacting with them, and that originates from their first meeting being going to the big budget meeting, getting their budget cut. It's not a good look to just have that as your first experience. The SGA, lesser known, also has the CSI, Committee on Student Interests, that is responsible for reaching out to organizations and ensuring that everything is going well within them. We want to work to improve the CSI in terms of how they interact with organizations. Don't get me wrong, they're doing an amazing job as is, and we have complete faith in them, but we want to see more standardization in what the committee, the subcommittee heads are doing, ensuring that their meetings are productive and they're teaching organizations what they need to, so that they're not coming to us with infractions and scrambling because they messed something up that they didn't know in the first place. We want to have the CSI be more proactive instead of reactive as a whole, teaching organizations from the start what they need to do, whether it's how to foster community, how to properly budget, things along those nature, rather than just, hey, you messed this up with your budget, this is what we can do to fix it.
We also want to continue reaching out to students, going to clubs, going to organizations we wouldn't normally go to, going to events, and just talking to people and listening to complaints. Because in the end, we're all pursuing initiatives. Our ideas come from students. Our ideas come from people complaining. And we need to get out there and hear those complaints and work with students who aren't in the student government to complete these initiatives and to get things done and make people more involved.
So something Sam and I want to very much implement is office hours for not just us, but the rest of the cabinet. So anyone who would be interested in the cabinet would have to be okay with the idea of having office hours at least once a week, so that students would know where the vice president of academic affairs is, would know where the vice president of finance is, would know where they are for, like, say an hour, 2 hours a week, so that if they have any questions, whether it be for themselves or for the org, that's where they could go to reach out to them. Also, coming back to giving more rewards and making a position more rewarded, I think that a very under-rewarded position is the CSI. Although I can imagine that, like, they have a great time doing that and that's why they sign up for that position, I feel like that they deserve to be represented more and that they deserve more reward for the work that they do, because in some cases they're doing more work than senators, and they deserve recognition for that.
In addition, I'd like to add that the current RSO process is the only way that members of the SGA are really truly able to understand what organizations are doing and who is involved in what events they have. Definitely expanding on that and making sure that there's check-ins not only with the CSI but with the Senate as well, so that we know what each organization is doing. And I know that a previous requirement for senators was to attend different events by different organizations, and while now we're trying to make it more lenient so that senators are able to pursue any initiative that they desire, definitely just trying to build that relationship between the Senate, the cabinet, and students so that we're better able to understand what they need as an organization and as students.
So having only been on the flip side of the coin, where I'm the club who feels like, oh, we got the big budget meeting where it gets screwed over this year, it's tough. It's tough. I don't have much experience talking to the SGA, but I feel like that's almost good because I know what I would want. I know how I would want to talk to them. I know the type of events I would want to go to if the SGA said they were having them. And I know how different students who are just not part of the SGA and will never be part of the SGA react. Hell, I've probably only got voters for people who have never been in the SGA. I could assure that. I don't think any SGA member would ever vote for me. But I think that that's a good thing, and I think that's change, and I think that's what the SGA needs. I'll straight up just print my phone number on all the flyers so anyone can talk to me when I get there. I love talking to people, and I think that finding new, exciting ways for the SGA to just become friends with the students is better. Maybe have, like, people specifically, like, assigned to clubs just to go to their events or, like, be assigned so that they can talk and figure out what the SGA does and how they can be involved and how their club needs to be involved.
Going off that amazing speech, yeah, the SGA has a real public image problem at Stevens. I'd say no one outside of the SGA actually likes the SGA. That's a fairly universal fact that's prevalent along campus. That rarely do people interact with the SGA whatsoever, except for if they get talked to from the elections or whatever. And there are people who are interested in the SGA, but the only people who are interested in the SGA are in the SGA. So we really want to get the entire school involved in this community because it should represent everyone on campus. But if it only represents the people who are already interested in student government association, then it's not going to do its job properly. So I feel like getting SGA members out and talking to people and having a more of an outreach program is really the best way of getting everyone involved.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Next question goes to both. What makes the other candidates good fits for the roles you're all running for? We're going to start with Sam and Adrian.
So I definitely say that in terms of Brandon and Simon, they have a great sense of humor. I think that they're very optimistic people and they're very passionate about what they do. They're definitely very lighthearted, and I think that that's something that will bring a positive attitude to the SGA and something that a lot of us always need to just brighten up our days.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed that you guys didn't run for vacancies. Like, it would be fun to have you at the Senate meetings. But for Jason and EJ, they have an immense drive to get done what they're put their minds to, and just like, I've worked with EJ on Campus Life Committee, and I know that he's passionate. I know that he has the best intentions of his students, his fellow students at heart, and he's just a very charismatic, good person, and yeah.
We have bigger fish to fry than senators. We're going straight to the presidency. No, but I've talked to both these candidates like a good amount, and I just love both of them. I would be happy with anyone here, like getting the presidency, getting the vice presidency. Both of you are just like incredible people. I haven't talked to you as much, unfortunately, but I know just off the few conversations I'd be so happy with either of you. And you guys as well. We did so much together. Like, you guys are the most fun people I've ever met in the SGA. That being said, I've met very little people in the SGA. But I'd be so happy with anyone up here winning.
Yeah. I mean, like, obviously, I prefer if we won, but I would also be very happy with either of the other two choices. You guys look like you're very qualified. You're very lovely people. You all know what you're talking about. And you guys are, and you obviously, you've done a lot of stuff. That's been very clear. You've been involved in the school. You obviously care about the school very much. And, they're both good.
Love.
We want to throw it right back at you guys. One thing we definitely see is your passion to whatever you're passionate about. Brandon and Simon, I've never seen more enthusiasm towards something than you guys towards Off-Center and towards this campaign especially. There's a new website when SGA doesn't even have its own website, just for memery, because you guys are doing this, and it's amazing. Not them.
We wouldn't say that.
And same thing goes to Sam and Adrian. We've watched them over our past 3 semesters. They've been here a few semesters as well, and time again, they've pursued initiatives that aren't necessarily what they are most passionate about, but what other students are. And it demonstrates not only their passion and their drive for the student community, for our community, but also their selflessness, which is beautiful. And we also just think they're very fun people, like everyone here. Again, no hard feelings no matter how this turns out. We think everyone is either competent or capable of fostering the family feel that we feel like is most necessary for the SGA internally, as well as just doing an effective job externally.
Yeah, I'm going to start off with Sam and Adrian. We've had a great time working together, all of us, and I hope I can say that we had a great time at Senate Retreat, really meeting you and getting to know you better than we already did. And we know that you're amazing people and very dedicated to what you're doing as heads of Rules and GovCom, respectively, and kind of growing into that position and managing your committees has been great to watch. And for Simon and Brandon, got it. I'm bad with names, okay? For Simon and Brandon, we had a great time on our photo shoot. I really enjoyed taking pictures with you and having fun with you. Time is up.
Thank you for that. Next question is going to be for the president. Start with you guys. How would you promote campus involvement among the student body?
I'm the social media guy for Off-Center. I also work as a social media ambassador for Stevens. So I think I'm very used to this kind of thing. And I think social media is probably the biggest way we'll get people to get involved with stuff on campus. Everything I find out through GroupMe or Instagram. Posters do enough, but not anything crazy. And I think that's just a great skill to have, and also just I feel like I'm charismatic, so I think I can easily talk to people and get people involved in a lot of things, and just I don't know, meet with people, have fun, get them involved with different stuff.
When we were going around to talk to people, a big concern that we saw was a lot of students talking about how they had an amazing time at their orientation, their pre-orientation. It was beautiful. They had so much fun, and then they kind of just transitioned into their academic life, and it became extremely stressful. And it was still fairly well for the first semester, but their time continued to decrease in how involved they felt and attached to the community as a whole. So we want to pursue things that approach students in what relates to them most, whether it's your second semester, helping you find housing, how to talk to a realtor, things like that. Your third and fourth semester, how to find an internship, a job, things like that, proper like etiquette. And then like senior year, for example, it would be how to deal with post-college depression, because a lot of students go from being surrounded by everyone all the time, having classes, things to do all day, to the real world, and it's not as pretty of a transition as you might think.
I definitely say that with one of the bigger points of our platform being lifting student voices through empowerment, that me and Adrian are very much so striving to increase campus involvement. And we would be doing this by definitely building the public relations committee that we have within the SGA and having open communication with students and knowing what they like and don't like. And while it may be impossible to meet with every single student and know like what club or organization is best fit for them, I'd say that with my experiences as a peer leader, I was able to know who I was working with and know where to direct them. And I think that by building the relationship between the SGA and the students, that they'll be more comfortable coming to us, especially so that they'll be able to get more input on different opportunities that are available on campus. And in addition to that, building our website would definitely be a great opportunity to do that, because every student who may feel intimidated or may not want to speak to their senator or any member of the SGA can just go to like simple website URL, and they'll just be able to understand like what clubs, organizations, and events are offered.
Thank you, everyone. Next question goes to the VPO. We're going to start with Jason. In your eyes, what is the role of a senator?
So the role of a senator is not only to pursue initiatives, but to talk to everyone and make sure everyone else is doing okay as well. So whether you're working on housing, working on GovCom, working on any committee, your main goal is to foster a sense of community within the Senate, and also to foster a sense of community within the Stevens community, and talk to students and make sure that people's voices are heard. Right now, the biggest issue I think we have, especially with the public image of the student government, is that we're a black box. No one knows what's going on. No one feels involved. People don't feel like their voices are heard or listened to. That needs to change. Senators should talk to people. Senators should also talk to each other. Senators should work together. And senators, in the end, they should be pursuing initiatives like Sam and Adrian say that they're passionate about, but also that are relevant to the community and what people need.
So, in my opinion, the most important job of a senator is to start a conversation in the Senate. It just takes one person in the Senate, and I can say from experience, if just one person brings up one topic in discussion, we can go on and on about it for hours. And if as a senator, you're bringing at least one thing once in your term up to discussion, and you have a real tangible output from that one conversation, you've done your job as a senator. Of course, you also have to pursue initiatives and try and make campus better as a whole, but I think that starting a conversation is a huge part of being a senator. I also think that reaching out on behalf of your friends and people that, like, when you hear conversations in a hallway, reaching out to, like, say the VPAA or whoever's in charge of the committee that pertains to that. It's like, I know personally that whenever my friends have a question about something to do with academics, I will reach out to the head of CAR, the head of ACA, or the head of, or even the VPAA. Just reaching out on behalf of your friends and on behalf of the conversations you hear to be that voice and to start that conversation.
I say the role of the senators is they are really the big change makers in the SGA. Like the cabinet and the presidency, they do a lot of stuff, but the senators are really the people who are down, in the trenches. They are working to implement policies. They are changing. They're making like social policies. I don't know. But they are the ones actually going around. They are implementing new things. They are getting involvement for the school, for the SGA. They're getting students to be interested in the school as a whole. They are the representatives of their specific part. So they really have a job to represent their students that they are assigned to. They represent the entire students as a whole. So the SGA, so obviously as like vice president, I would be working with these senators to kind of to work with these people to bring these policies and new changes to the school. That would really help everyone.
Thank you. Okay, so this is, for everyone in the audience, this is going to be our last question on our end. If you could, please start passing your note cards to Maddie, Ryan, if they don't have them already, and then pass them that way. We'll ask this last question, and then we'll get into that. So, last question is for both candidates. As you may or may not have heard, these positions take up a lot of time. How do you plan to balance your role as president or vice president of operations, and what about this position interests you the most?
I think that as president, I would definitely make it my sole responsibility to be able to represent the student body and be able to effectively communicate between the students, the SGA, and the administration. I'd say that with my workload, I'm currently a sophomore. I'm definitely not a senior doing senior D or anything crazy like that, but I'm running for this position because I care about Stevens and I care about the community in general, and I definitely think that by pursuing different initiatives, whether they impact me or not, they're impacting other people and they're impacting future students that come to this university. And that's the only thing that I'd really like to get out of this presidency if we get it. I definitely don't think that workload would definitely be an issue, because if it's something that I'm passionate about, I will put every ounce of effort into it. I won't hesitate, and I'll do anything I can for the students.
I'm in complete agreement with Sam that if we were to be elected to this, my sole focus would be on this position and, of course, my academics, but this position. And I think I speak for Sam when I say the thing that we want the most out of this position is to leave a change that outlasts us, to leave a change that when we come back or when our siblings come to this school, we can see that that change is still here. And most importantly, to make a family out of the SGA that goes beyond the SGA, that is something that students see as approachable.
I've worked 2 jobs, done school, and been in charge of the social media for Off Center at the same time for a while. So my time management skills are good. I've gotten much better with like practice of just like doing all these things in school. So I think next semester I obviously won't be able to be board of Off Center. My job will be over, and I won't be TAing because I only TA in the fall semesters. So I will just have my courses and this to focus on, which I think I will be able to dedicate as much time as possible. I've dedicated as much time as possible to everything I've done, and this will be no different. I think the most important part of like my role and how I want to like do it is just like communication with the students, communication with the SGA, just generally just bringing people together.
Yeah, obviously, if I was vice president, I would make that my full priority. You know, I would focus on it above all else. I will not eat, I will not drink, I will not sleep until everything in the SGA is improved to the maximum I can do. You know, so that's going to be the huge thing for me at that time. And also, you know, what I'm trying to get out of this is I'm trying to really improve the SGA, to bring it to a place where I can feel proud of saying I was part of this, right? Because I want it to be a force for good at the school. And I want to bring it to help everyone in the school. I want to help it to lead it in that direction.
I will also personally make sure Simon eats 3 meals a day.
After SGA.
As it stands, a lot of people look at my Google Calendar and they get mortified, which I think is fair to say. But a lot of people don't realize when they look at it from an external point of view, a lot of what's on there is already me putting time into this organization, whether it's like 15 to 20 hours a week of meetings, discussions, trying to pursue my initiatives. And I'm not going to do that. If any, like, I'm not going to drop that. Words are hard. If anything, that's just going to escalate. As far as like other commitments, the only other thing that exists for me, presumably next semester, would be serving as a resident assistant. And then I've already like scheduled for this coming semester, and I'm taking a significantly lighter load than I feel like I'm capable of, just because I'm prepared for this position. As for why I'm interested in it, it's actually a little personal. So I was not very involved when it came to anything in like high school. So to sit here before you now is kind of unprecedented for me. I kind of just shut myself in, played video games, did my homework. That was about it. When I came here, this organization was where I found my passion. It helped me transform myself from who I was to who I didn't even realize I wanted to be, and that was really beautiful for me. I want to be the person spearheading this organization so that I can be there for other people to experience that same transition. It's what I do as a resident assistant. It's what I do, or what I did during my summer in New Zealand, and it's what I'm continuing to doing in this organization. as it stands and going forward?
We both have organization. We have calendars, we have meetings, and throughout all of that, we stay organized, we color code. And I think I speak for both of us in that we think that we are able to dedicate all of our time to this organization. I am out of time.
Okay, we will now be asking questions from the audience once Alex gets those. Each ticket will have 1 minute to respond to each of the questions.
Okay, you want to read the first one? Go for it.
Each of you has affected change on campus either as a senator or as a general member of the student body. What would you do differently as president that you couldn't do already? You guys go first.
So obviously, just being part of Off Center, I would not have nearly as wide a reach as I would as president. And I think all the things I've said I wanted to do, all the things like coming into the school I wished I could do, can only be accomplished as the president, to be honest. Because as a general body member, you're just not going to get the say that you want. I think do things differently, make the SGA much more open, like I've said multiple times. But just, yeah. You can go.
Yeah. I think my main difference would be I would be the vice president this time. So I'd be in that role as opposed to not being vice president most of the time. So I really work with the SGA to be the vice president.
Good.
EJ and Hannah.
It kind of goes without saying, so we're not going to mention it too much, but it makes it a lot easier to work on our initiatives with administration because we have significantly more time to meet with them just directly. What matters more so is being in the position where we can directly inspire other people to join the Senate and just pursue their passions, whether it's SGA or not. Because there's a lot of things that the Stevens community offers and a lot of things that the students don't take advantage of, and we want to help them find that. And being the faces of this organization, we think, is a very effective way of doing that.
As the vice president, I would make sure that information flows better from administration to the Senate, not only the cabinet. So keeping everybody informed with exactly what's happening, making sure everyone is on the same page all the time, making sure that everyone knows changes in administration, changes in structure, things going on around campus that need to be communicated to not only the cabinet, but to the Senate and also to the student body.
Current senators that were already exposed to the administration in the SGA, like we work with the cabinet and we work with current, like President Farvarden's cabinet as well, all of his vice presidents, and I think that I wouldn't necessarily change that as being president, but what I would change is being able to work with everyone as a team and building that dynamic so that we can all work as a unit, regardless of what we are working on, to build better relations and accomplish all of our goals.
I think that everything that's been said can be accomplished as a senator. I truly believe that. I just believe that, in agreement with them, that everything that has been said can be better done in the positions of president and vice president. And we feel that things like taking a risk and emailing an administrator about something that maybe a senator isn't in the place to email an administrator about, the vice president or the president can take that chance and do that.
Next up. So we talk a lot about creating an inclusive Stevens, but how does your ticket plan to create an inclusive SGA?
So there's been a lot of talk, especially with the formation of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, on making this SGA, not only the SGA, but the student body more inclusive, more able for people to reach out, for people to talk to each other, and to create an open community. I definitely think that we've come long strides since the formation of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee with the bill for the
Intercultural Center.
Intercultural Center, names again. The Intercultural Center being formed and for the diversity educator being hired. And a lot of these things are working slowly and surely, but they're helping to increase the inclusive environment that we have.
A large part of it is also inspiring the family feel inside of the SGA. And whether that's through, providing more activities to keep people engaged or interacting with them more one-on-one to help them pursue their initiatives and have them have a better time that they better appreciate inside the Senate. That's what we want to strive for.
I definitely say that within the SGA, we aren't the most inclusive because of the lack of representation we have across all of the schools and different identities on campus. But I think that by expanding the knowledge of the SGA and what we do beyond just budgeting or just having these committee meetings and having students realize that we can make bigger change on campus, that we'll be able to have students come to our meetings and voice their opinions without feeling like they need to be an official to do anything. It's just about opening conversations and knowing who to talk to and building that representation within the SGA.
Having worked with D&I before I was a senator to help get the intercultural proclamation passed, I know that there's a lot of potential for Stevens to be a much better school. And I know that, especially in the Senate, there's a lot of potential for us to be a much better and a much more diverse Senate. And I think that's something that we should strive to be doing, is going out and reaching out to orgs that we wouldn't normally go to, meeting new people, and things of that nature that Alina's like cutting my time the way she cuts your budgets. But but yeah, just making sure that we are constantly striving to make not just our Senate, but our school a great place.
Okay, so I think diversity gets better and better at Stevens every single year, and I think we're doing a great job. As for the SGA, I kind of briefly mentioned it before, but I think just like having delegates like for specific clubs would be a great, great way for this to happen. There's so many diverse clubs on campus and so many like great groups of people that may not be represented, but having someone like be there and be able to talk to them and be able to get them involved, I think is just the way to go, just the way to do it.
And also part of that is getting more diverse people running for office in the SGA, because we can't force them to be. So we want, making the SGA seem more inclusive, more open to new people, and getting more people excited about joining the SGA would go a lot way in getting these people to join, because they have to join of their own volition.
Right.
Okay, next question. How do you plan to address Cal students and their feelings of separation from the engineering-heavy school that is Stevens? Sam and Adrian?
I definitely say that Adrian and I have spoke about this a lot, and we've spoken to many Cal students especially, that there are a lot of issues that need to be addressed, such as the lack of faculty that they have. There's currently plenty of adjunct professors that are providing lectures and everything, and they have full-time faculty teaching Pinnacle seminars when they could be focusing on the Cal department itself. So definitely expanding on the faculty hiring process and getting more within the Cal department. I definitely say that it's also not as structured as the engineering school, and that we need to, as much as we want to keep it broad for our humanities, build more of a structure and give them the opportunity to really define what they want to be doing with their degree.
So I've been taking like a ton of Cal classes over the last year of my college, and I feel like every single one I've been shoved into some back corner of Kitty or back corner of Morton, and it's just it's not cool. I imagine we could get them better classrooms and more more professors, honestly, because even people who aren't Cal majors trying to get into Cal classes are struggling. I can't imagine what it's like being them and having these little options for classes, these little options for teachers. And I think it's very important to make sure that all of our different majors, no matter how small or big, are equally provided for. No? That's it.
Okay, EJ and Jason?
So, as a biology major, I kind of know what it feels like to not be an engineer, to not be a part of the 80% of our student body who is involved in design spine engineering curriculum. I know, I've seen engineers taking spots in Cal classes that Cal majors need to graduate. And that's a problem. Cal majors need to be able to get into the classes to graduate. We also need to focus on exposing their art around campus. So whether they're painting murals under the bleachers or putting their music on Rockbot, or just being able to share everything they do, that'd be a great opportunity for them, and honestly, it would make campus better. There's some really good professors, but also there is the issue of adjunct faculty. Every year, Stevens is bringing in more faculty, and one of our major things that we want to work on is making sure students are involved in the faculty hiring process, and that they still do have full-time faculty that can help the students have office hours on campus.
All right, thank you. Next question will start with you guys. What will you do to break down barriers between graduate and undergraduate students?
So I think this is a very, very big thing. Like, I think I probably have had like 1 or 2 graduate student friends. And I think a big thing, there's so many weird rules about graduates being involved in clubs and everything. I'm pretty sure like you're not allowed to give them food. I think that might be a thing. They can't run on
Do not feed the
e-boards.
graduates.
And I think if they're here, if they're taking the classes, why are they not just like equally a part of the clubs that we are? It doesn't make sense to me, and I think it should be way different than that.
Yeah, and a lot of the events on campus are undergraduates only. So these events where you should be interacting with your other students and getting to know people, these graduate students are just not allowed. They're banned. So that's kind of a huge barrier in like getting to know these 2 different like parts of Stevens. Also, please be quiet, yes.
So right now, we have graduate students and we have undergraduate students. What a lot of people don't know is that there's more graduate students than undergraduate students currently attending Stevens. Right now, we have Graduate Student Council, which is like the SGA, but for graduate students. We need to work with them more. It has come to my attention that starting this semester, the Graduate Student Life Office is actually offering to help with funding for events so that grad students can also go. We need to start working more with them so graduate students can attend undergraduate student events and become involved with undergraduate student clubs, because we're all going to the same school, we all have a similar experience, and we all should be interacting, talking to one another, and sharing our experiences.
I definitely say that as undergraduate students, we each pay a student activity fee each semester that allows us to attend any event on campus and allows us to join any organization that we please. I definitely say that I'd like to expand this and offer it to the graduate students because they're just as much a part of the Stevens community as we are, and we shouldn't be limiting their options in terms of their college experience outside of academics.
This also goes on to people that choose to study for their master's programs here at Stevens. Once you become a master's student, you technically aren't allowed to attend undergraduate events, and that's something that we really want to push for. We really want to push for the option to pay into the SAF. That way you can still keep coming to these undergraduate events with your underclassmen friends. Something else that we want to push for is the SCC, the Stevens Sustainability Coalition, is a graduate-started operation, and like I mentioned before, I was in talks with them, and just pushing to work more between the boundaries of undergraduate things and graduate things so that we can work together as one community.
Okay, next question. Can you describe sustainability without using the word sustainability and how it relates to Stevens students? Jason and EJ?
It's promoting a healthy lifestyle that supports both our community and our environment.
Sounds good.
It's promoting a healthy lifestyle that supports our community and our environment, not just now, but for time to come, considering the impacts of what we do now.
It's the avoidance of depletion of natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance.
You asked, we answered.
Okay, so this next question, you guys already answered the first half, so you could just answer the second half if you choose. Why did you choose to run, and why did you choose to run together?
Okay, so I'll answer why we chose to run together. Adrian and I were peer leaders, and we knew each other before that, our freshman year. But I definitely say that as leaders and as people that work together, like with our team, that we learned that we're the type of people that are willing to take risks, and our, I guess, values align, and we know what we want for the students, and we want to be able to pursue initiatives that will benefit everybody and not just us.
She took the words out of my mouth like we're on the same page.
As you can probably imagine, running stemmed from a joke I made in our room. But now here we are. It's very serious, and I'm having a good time. I don't think there is anyone in the school I would probably pick over Simon. I've lived with him for 2 years. We literally do just about everything together, except he doesn't have a meal plan this year, so he won't come to Pierce with me.
Shame.
But that's it. Everything else, we're good.
I'm running with Brandon. I'm running with Brandon because he's just so gosh darn handsome.
Our roommates, we've been best friends ever since as well. Like, we've been through a lot of things together, and like our relationship has grown from it, and we've become, honestly, he's one of the closest people I have here, and I've been with some of the people that go here for 5 years in every class. So I think that's just a testament to how close we are. And on top of that, we really see the need for a family feel inside of a student government association, and to have the leaders present exactly that. Like, he's essentially a brother to me. We're brothers to each other. It would be what we think is extremely valuable to the organization.
Okay, thank you.
Last question.
Okay, last question, everyone. If you were part of a salad, what part would you be and why? Brendan?
That is an excellent question, Your Honor.
This is the only thing I know about the SGA. That came up in the debate last year, and I know it.
Who did it 2 times? Who submitted this question a second time?
You were the one! I knew it was you! You, like, made the guy on the phone call. He's the guy. I'd be a tomato.
Crouton! I'm a piece of bread, so I'm a crouton.
I got red hair and, like, rosy cheeks and stuff. Come on, I'm a tomato.
I'm a big proponent for avocados, but on top of that, they can get really mushy and get involved, and that's kind of what we want to do with everything inside of the SGA. We want to work with everyone.
I'm going to go off the books a little bit. I'm going to say pineapple. I know pineapples don't go in salads. I know they also may or may not go on pizza, depending on what person you are, but they're tasty. They're good. I like them. That's why I say this. Go.
I'd say, taking this from someone who inspired me to run for president, banana peppers.
I'm going to say something a little different. I'm the eco-friendly bowl that holds it all together.
All right. So that wraps up our audience questions of the debate. We want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and would like to conclude the debate by giving all the tickets 2 minutes for closing statements.
We'll start with you guys.
To recap for you all, I'm still EJ.
And I'm still Jason. We are taking a holistic approach to improving your experience here. We are focused on sustainability, community health, and campus culture. The changes we will accomplish by the end of our term are designed so that no concern, regardless of how big or small, goes unaddressed.
We don't have an official slogan, but we like to say that our campaign is by students for students. Of course, that's true for every ticket up here in front of you, but in practice, we hold most true to that ideal. Few of our ideas that we're presenting on our platform originate from us, and none of them have gone without extensive review from the people that we've talked to hear your voices. Whether it's been table sitting outside Pierce or dorm storming over the past few weeks, we've been trying to meet with all of you to hear your unique perspectives and implement them in any length we can to have your voices heard, regardless of the personal cost that it comes to for us, sleep, mental health, to ensure that community that we belong to is the one that you want.
We encourage you all to take all of the information you've learned tonight, all of our ideas, their ideas, and make an informed vote. And we really value making that informed vote and to take what you've heard to make the right choice.
We also hope that we've answered any questions you've had regarding our capabilities, drive, or approach to accomplishing your vision. If you feel like your concerns haven't been addressed, we're going to be staying here as long as you guys want to answer your questions. We'll happily take the time to do so. Otherwise, thank you all. Have a great night.
I pledge my honor that I have abided by the Stevens Honor Society.
System.
What? System.
He's been cheating this whole time.
Shit. That's it.
I'd just like to say thank you to everyone for coming out tonight to listening to what we, as well as the other candidates, have to say. Definitely follow our Instagram at Sam and Cash Show. One thing I'd really like to leave you all with tonight is the sense of hope. Hope for the future of your college career, and hope that change will ensue that makes Stevens the home that you always wanted it to be. There's a quote from Stephen Hawking that I'd like to share with you, and it's, "There's no boundary to human endeavor. We're all different. However bad life may seem, there's always something you can do and succeed at." By creating a better environment for students on this campus, we will be able to encourage everyone to strive to be better and do better, and gain an experience out of Stevens that makes each individual feel that they can be the change and can encourage change, regardless of their background, involvement, or perspectives.
And one more time, I just want to say, follow us on Instagram at The Sam and Cash Show. And I want to give one more thank you to the moderators, to SITTV, to the Stute, who I know will be covering this, to the audience, and to everyone watching from home.
And with that will conclude the 2019 SGA Presidential and Vice Presidential Debate. Voting is now open and will be open until Tuesday, November 12th at 1 p.m. at www.stevens.edu/vote. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
You didn't read my question.
Yeah, which one was it? The BBM one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. I didn't understand it.
I didn't know how to word it. I was just like, I just always feel butthurt how like they say like
I know.
like the word